New at 8, 2/3 of kindergartners in America are on track and ready to enter kindergarten. That's according to the National Survey of Children's Health. Readiness depends on several factors, including social skills, physical health, and emotional regulation, just to name a few. As kindergartners get ready to head to the first day of school for the very first time, many of you also may be getting your kids ready to head back to school, whether they're going into the first grade or to the 12th grade. So joining us live this morning is Dr. Catherine Roberts with Wayne State University to help us get your kids ready no matter what grade. Good morning, Dr. Roberts. We really appreciate your time. You know, we have been learning that there are kids that enter kindergarten that may not be ready. So if so, how do teachers adjust and overcome to those hurdles and meet those children where they're at?
That's a great question. And I want to say, before I say anything else, that in Michigan, we are an age eligible kindergarten state, which means if your child is 5 by the deadline, they are ready for kindergarten. Could there be things that you could do to support them and help them be more academically and socially ready? Yes, but you're exactly right that the teachers are prepared to meet them where they are because age is our only requirement in Michigan. There are lots of things that you can do academically to support your children, and it's okay if you haven't started yet. It's never too late to start. So some of those things are having lots of conversations with your child when you talk back and forth with them. So instead of asking questions that have yes or no answers, asking some more open-ended questions and trying to go back and forth on the same topic. It may surprise you to know that reading doesn't start with students sitting down and just being able to read a book. It starts with being able to do things like build their vocabulary and comprehension through listening and speaking. So that's important. Reading anything, anytime. There used to be advice that you read your students or your children bedtime stories, and that's still true. Bedtime stories are great, but we also know now that it doesn't have to be stories and it doesn't have to be at bedtime. You can read them texts from grandma, read them the back of a cereal box, any books of any genre. Some kids are really into informational stuff. You can read during snack, during bath time, during bedtime, whatever works for you, your child, and your family. I know with having 2 kids myself, my younger child got a lot of reading done in the car while we were waiting for soccer practices to end for my older child. So there are lots of ways to work that in.
Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of different skills that we should be teaching our youngest learners before they even head into. And I'm glad you mentioned the age requirement there because that is an important distinction. So regardless what you're saying is if I have a child that is age 5, they're eligible for kindergarten.
They are, yep. And it's the job of the schools to be ready for them.
Okay.
Sometimes families decide to do a year of young fives, or sometimes it's called developmental kindergarten. That is an option as well. But in general, kids are ready when they're 5 to start learning things, and it's an important area, an important time frame for brain development. So it's great to get them in school at that age.
Yeah, let's talk about these last couple of days. I know we are just a few days out from the first semester with Grand Rapids Public Schools being our biggest district here in West Michigan. When we're talking about going into the first day of school, hopefully we have worked on the skills throughout the last year or maybe at least the summertime with our kindergartners. But how can parents help ease that transition for kindergartners in these last couple of days?
Yeah, that transition is a big part because it sets the tone for the school year. Although don't panic if the first day isn't completely smooth. It's a lot to take in for a 5 or 6-year-old. So one of the things to remember is that classrooms have a lot of kids, which is great for your kids because that means you have lots of opportunities for new friends. But typically there's only 1 or 2 adults. So your child is going to be most comfortable if you start having them build some confidence and independent skills like opening things in their lunchbox, zipping and buttoning, washing their hands, anything bathroom related. They'll just feel a lot better if the first time that they're asked or expected to do those things on their own isn't also their first day of school. But that said, kindergarten teachers are well aware that 5 and 6-year-olds are not completely independent, and they're there to help to the best of their capacity, the best they can do with that many kiddos. So the best way for your child to get help is to ask for it. So one of the things that I often recommend for families is to practice asking questions. So you might ask your child, what are you going to say if you don't know how to open your milk? How will you ask if you need to go to the bathroom? What will you do if you can't find your backpack? And have them practice having some of those conversations with you first, just to build their confidence.
That's really good advice, of course, especially as even first-time parents with a student going into kindergarten may not know how to have those conversations just yet. What about in the middle of the year? How can we continue to help our kindergartner throughout the year with some of these not only basic skills that you are talking about, but also, the learning skills? Because we know learning extends far beyond the classroom, and it should continue at home. So how can we help our student throughout the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the whole point of school, in my opinion, is to prepare all of us to be able to function out in the world. So, we teach kids things about literacy and math and science and social studies because that stuff exists in the real world. And the good part about that is there are lots of opportunities to work with your children in the real world. So, for example, when you're at the grocery store, you might have them hold the list and help them find the items on the list. Think about what letter it might start with and see if they can find it. If you're in the kitchen and you're cooking dinner, you might show them where you're getting the directions, whether it's from a recipe book or from the Easy Mac directions on the back of the package, showing them that we read from top to bottom and left to right. You might ask them to count out the number of something that you need for a recipe or to pack a bag to go someplace, because all of those skills that they're learning in school have applications to what's happening in life. So just thinking about including them more in the process as opposed to doing things for them and assuming that they're capable, if not fully on their own, definitely with help.
Let's transition from our youngest learners to maybe some of our more seasoned learners. When we get into the fifth grade, middle school age, maybe into high school, what are things that we can do now, our parents can do now to kind of help that back to school transition for some of them? I remember when I was in school, I was staying up late every night. I was, sleeping well into the morning, but also I wasn't really thinking about school. So what can we do now with these last couple of days of summer to help get kids back on the right track?
Absolutely. I myself have a rising eighth grader and 10th grader who are not awake and up with me this morning. But we have been working on getting them up earlier, getting them prepared for that because that alarm comes early when school starts. So trying just to ease into waking up a little bit earlier as you get close to the start of school. Establishing a routine because those days are suddenly very long and very structured. So for my own kids, that involves when they come home, having time for a break and then having time to do schoolwork and having that be set aside. It's different for everybody. It's different for my two kids because one of them has activities after school and the other one doesn't until the evening. I also think making them comfortable is the same as it is with younger students, making them feel like they're confident and ready to walk in the door. I have one child who already has her school supplies all packed in her backpack. School for them doesn't start for another 2 weeks. And I have another one who I asked if he needed school supplies, and he told me he could probably find a pencil on the floor. So their degrees of what it means to feel confident and ready to get started in school are different, but we'll support both of them with whatever it is they think they need to be ready.
Absolutely. Dr. Roberts, we really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. Have a great day.